Running a small business means I wear lots of hats. When I put on my hiring hat, I can count on LinkedIn Hiring Pro to make it easy. LinkedIn Hiring Pro helps manage my hiring workflow, puts my job post in front of a unique network of professionals, and matches me with the best candidates for my business. I can also share my job with my network. No other job site lets me do that. No wonder most small businesses say they'd use LinkedIn Hiring Pro again. Hire right the first time. Post your job for free on LinkedIn today at linkedin.com/quality.
This episode is brought to you by Perfect Bistro Cat Food. Cats, this ad is for you. Has your human ever called you picky, persnickety, choosy? If so, Perfect Bistro Cat Food is for you. With ingredients like wild-caught tuna and pasture-raised lamb, tantalizing textures, and delectable flavors that meet even the most discerning cat standards. You're not picky, you're just perfectionists. Perfect Bistro, mealtime perfection for every cat. Have your human visit perfectbistro.com.
Hear that? That's now Crispy and McCrispy strips meeting Creamy Caesar sauce. Sounds extra crispy. Caesar sauce at McDonald's for a limited time. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
What up, bros?
What up, bros?
And welcome to another Bruh Meets World, Tom Meets World, React, Reunion, whatever you want to call it.
Y'all, we have been doing Bruhvision episodes for a while, and we are returning to our origins. We're going back home with this episode with Boy Meets World, the core of our podcast. What started us in this career, I'll say, as podcasters, since we've been doing this for almost 10 years. I'll say career. Yeah, we're going back with the finale of Boy Meets World.
And why don't you tell them who we are exactly? I'm Steve.
Oh, yeah. I'm Tony Curtis.
And we're glad to be back. I just wanted to let everyone know that we will be talking about this episode, our experience with the Boy Meets World, Pop Meets World finale that took place July 27th of 2026 here in Los Angeles. Most specifically, the iHeartRadio Theater, which we were very fortunate to join right after we had also recorded with the cast our season 7 recap. So if you're wondering, by this point in time, you should have heard both of those. But as a just in case, that's what we're talking about today. So Tony, let them know what you thought.
Sure. Yeah. Before I'll jump in, I'll say this. I really didn't think I was going to be able to go to this. It sold out very quickly. And we happened to be recording with them. And I'm sure I don't know if this is in the final edit. You guys will have to tell me after listening to it. But they on air basically were like, do you want to come to this? And we were like, absolutely. So I felt really fortunate that we were able to go, specifically because we were at their very first live show that they did years ago. And this was before they did the tour. They did I guess a one-time live show. I guess they were trying to figure out what a live show would be, and we were kind of there as their guinea pigs in that episode. So that was a lot of fun, just to kind of bookmark this podcasting journey with them. Not only having reviewed, every season up until season 7, but also having been there at the beginning and being there for the finale.
Yeah, absolutely. To see it, like they talked about it, they had been doing it for 4 years themselves. So I'm going to give ourselves a little bit of credit. We did it in 7, but considering how much they strung it out as well, I feel like from 4 to 7, even though it is years, it's not that bad.
I mean, this has been such a bigger part of my life than I anticipated, talking
so
about
much
Boy
a
Meets
bigger
World
part of my life than
on the internet. But I also think that's the case for them. I don't think podcasting was like this. This is going to be a career for us. It just happened to be that they had all the natural talents and abilities, everything that kind of shined when they were on the show. They were able to recapture it in an audio format, which has led them, specifically Danielle, to kind of have this second career as podcasters, which has been very interesting to see develop as well.
100%. And then to your point, it's been very interesting to kind of just watch their journey with it. I do want to kind of get into, that experience. For those of you who know, this is not our first live show with them. As Tony had said previously, it was a little bit different for us this time around. But I will say we were able to speak to a bunch of you while we were there. It's so interesting to go to these events and have people recognize us just by our voice.
It happens every time we go, and we're so happy because it makes it feel like, oh, people actually listen to our podcast. But it's just a very interesting thing to just be in line at the bathroom and someone turn around and be like, "Are you a bruh?"
I know that voice. Yeah. Like,
It's
are you
always,
a bro?
"Are you a bruh?" And it's like, we're all bruhs, guys. And what's interesting is how many people tell us that they were listening to our podcast before the Pod Meets World podcast too.
Yes, that
And I'm
was a
like,
really
oh
great
man, we got
thing.
some old G's who've been sticking with us since the beginning. That's really dope.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I do want to kind of like take a moment to you and ask, what was it like recording the season 7 recap with them?
Oh, that's a great question. We always go into the season recaps we take it very seriously. I don't think people probably know that, but we listen to every podcast episode that they do, at least the episode reviews. We try to squeeze in interviews, but they put out so many episodes, it's really hard to keep up. But we listen to everything, we take copious notes, and then the big question for us ends up being, what can we ask them that hasn't already been asked? Like, what's something that we truly want to know that within all of the FAQ episodes that they're doing, all of their like meet and greets, like they're always answering questions. And our goal is to kind of find a unique approach, which, as you can imagine, after years of them talking about the show day in and day out, it was really hard to come up with the questions, but I feel like we successfully pulled it off. I haven't heard the episode yet, but I felt really good about it after we recorded it. What did you feel?
It was a surreal moment. It's actually kind of funny. I told Tony going into it, this may be, even though we do like a lot of preparation, we are constantly thinking about these even throughout the season when we do our Pop News World recaps. This was one where I think finally, kind of like what Daniel was saying about season 7, where it's like, I finally felt just like, oh no, I'm just here to ask questions. I'm just here
Sure.
to kind of like give the voice and like really approach it as to what would I want to know in season 7. And I thought it really led to some really great conversations. Some of the things that like we didn't get to, we always have like a bank of questions that we couldn't get to, but also to Tony's point, they are doing like 19 Q&A episodes. So somebody will get to them. They'll be asked in like the
Sure.
greater
Between
community.
all of this audio content, their book, and the documentary, there should be no questions about Boy Meets World after all of this.
Yeah, what else is there to ask? I think the thing about it.
What can you ask them? I have so many questions for Ben and Michael, but I've run out of things to ask them about it.
Absolutely. I will say it's also really funny after doing this for years. You should all know where they stand in terms of the Ben and the Michael of it all. Don't get me wrong, things can change because they weren't going to do Girl Meets World and now they are. I get that. But also, someone's like, oh, it would have been really nice if Ben showed up. And it's like, do you not pay attention?
And not for nothing, I follow Ben on social media. This dude seems very content and happy with being a new dad and living his life separate from the show. Like every time that I think, oh, wouldn't it be nice? I just have to understand that, these three, Will, Ryder, and Danielle, they've reconnected and established a friendship in a way where they're on such a different path that I think it would actually be kind of awkward for Ben to jump in the middle of that, which already been established. And I like the idea of a celebrity being like, I don't need to be a celebrity anymore. I can just live a simple life. So I hope Ben is very happy doing whatever Ben is doing.
Running a small business means I wear lots of hats. When I put on my hiring hat, I can count on LinkedIn Hiring Pro to make it easy. LinkedIn Hiring Pro helps manage my hiring workflow, puts my job post in front of a unique network of professionals, and matches me with the best candidates for my business. I can also share my job with my network. No other job site lets me do that. No wonder most small businesses say they'd use LinkedIn Hiring Pro again. Hire right the first time. Post your job for free on LinkedIn today at linkedin.com/quality.
This episode is brought to you by Perfect Bistro Cat Food. Cats, this ad is for you. Has your human ever called you picky, persnickety, choosy? If so, Perfect Bistro Cat Food is for you. With ingredients like wild-caught tuna and pasture-raised lamb, tantalizing textures, and delectable flavors that meet even the most discerning cat standards. You're not picky, you're just perfectionists. Perfect Bistro, mealtime perfection for every cat. Have your human visit perfectbistro.com.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's how I feel. I also wanted to say when we were speaking to them for our season 7 finale, we had talked about like what it was like listening to them from the very beginning all the way to now where they're more established.
One of the questions I asked them, and again, I haven't heard the episode yet. I don't know if this made the cut or not. Usually they don't really cut our questions, but one of the things I asked them was, do you feel an ownership over these characters? And something that was really evident to me when they started the podcast was that this is a group of people whose lives have been defined by a show they've never watched. And I knew that before they even started the podcast based off of like the questions they get at conventions. And they're like, well, I remember, and then there was Sean, I remember the finale, but all of the rest of it's hard to kind of pinpoint. And now they have such a storied knowledge of the show, not just from rewatching it, but from their interviews with the cast and crew and people who were influential in the making of the show, that they're historians of their own show now in a way that you can really speak to the nuances of the stories with them in a way that I don't think they were able to do before beginning the podcast.
No, and that's actually really true. But then also we've talked about them just kind of like using this process as therapy,
Yeah.
and very, very much being like, hey, this season or this episode or this scene really affected me in this way. And I didn't really understand that this is where it's come from. Or, I do love seeing Ryder be willing to like give himself credit for like his acting chops and being like, hey, I don't feel like in front of the camera is for me anymore, but it really has expanded my world behind the camera. Same thing with Danielle being like, turns out I love talking. I'll just do that forever.
Yeah.
And she's really good at it.
I'm so happy with the success that they've gotten from this podcast and all of the like podcasting ventures that they're doing. Part of me in my heart is hoping that Ryder will write something for Danielle to direct and Will to star in. I don't know if it will happen. I mean, it's interesting because I feel like Ryder's writing style is probably very different than Will's comedic style, but at the same time, I'm like, mix it up, let it happen. Like I would love to see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just think that they've really matured in those fields where it would be nice for them to collaborate artistically as well as, from the podcasting.
At the live show, we got to see them interact and react in person. And it was amazing to see how natural Danielle is. There was a moment during the live taping where there was just something wrong on stage.
Yeah.
And Danielle very seamlessly had Will get up. They were just like going along with it, improvising. But like it was something that only because I know how production works and I know how behind the scenes works, I was like, oh, they needed Danielle to have this impromptu moment in order to solve the problem. But she did so seamlessly that if you did not know that that's what was going on, you would have thought all of this was part of the show. And that just shows like the talent that they have at something like this.
They're vets. They've been doing this since before, like forever. And, Danielle specifically, I think is setting herself up to be like the Ryan Seacrest, Mario Lopez. Like she's setting herself to be in that same position. And I think she has the charisma and the talent and just the full package to be able to really succeed in that arena. Like she's been doing so much podcasting, but she's so great on camera as well. So I really hope that, all of the stuff that we're seeing her do in the audio sphere translates to me seeing her on the screen more.
Yeah. It's actually really funny. We talked about the things that they were doing well, but there's also a moment like you and I were there. Again, whenever you're at one of these live shows, you're getting unfiltered, raw improv stuff. And there was a moment, do you remember the Africa moment that we had with Will? Do you remember?
Please remind me and remind our listeners.
Okay, so they were talking about how
oh my God, I do. I thank you so much for remembering
listeners. They had listeners from all over the globe, and they were like, we had like even one person in Alaska, and we had like one person in Africa. And then Will goes, yeah, remember how we thought it was Trina? And we're like, oh my God, I really need you to explain to me.
And then Will very quickly was like, because she was in Africa at the time.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm so glad you expanded on that, because for a second I was like, why would you say that? What's going on?
TMZ would have eaten his ass up over that shit.
Yeah, it was definitely a moment of just like DC and I looked at each other and we were like, what is going on? And then he did expand, and I was like, oh, thank God. But yeah, what are some more of the moments from the live show that you remember?
I mean, the very first show that we went to, and then the show that we saw when we were in Philadelphia was not a live taping recording. It was more of like a series of skits Like there was some kind of Q&A stuff, but they also did like costume things, and writer like wrote a poem. Like it was more of like a show, like a production versus a live recording of a podcast episode. And this very much was a live recording of a podcast episode. And what I was impressed with was just that they were able to maintain the same cadence and chemistry that they have recording via Zoom as they are performing live.
Watching the live show, it was beautiful to kind of like look and see them get emotional. Like Will would talk about and say that he doesn't know what emotions are and he doesn't cry. But you could see there were definitely moments. And then, especially once we got to the end, when we got to the final scene, Ryder was just like almost in tears. And I don't know, again, how much you can see of that, but like it was really beautiful.
I want to talk about that a little bit because, yeah, was a recording of their podcast episode, their final review of the finale, the two-parter. This is the second part of it. And I actually thought that having it as a live show with an audience made it more of a spectacle, which was great. But I actually think the conversation that they probably would have had about those final scenes would have been way more intimate and personal if they were in a studio setting over a live audience. And that's just me like assuming. It feels like their conversations are able to get way more nuanced when they're just in the studio and they're not really reacting to the oohs and ahs of the audience, getting those laughs from the audience and feeling the need to maybe keep that energy up. I don't know.
Yeah, well, to that point, there is kind of like a production element to it. We have to hit our marks. We have to keep it going because we have the auditorium for but so long. After the recording, we went to the meet and greet. We're in line like everyone else. We got to speak to a bunch of people. We got to speak to a bunch of creatives who we had known. And then,
we saw Natalia Ross again, who just had Will and Ryder on her podcast.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We got asked to be on a couple of podcasts while we were there.
We were networking, guys. No big deal. You know how LA is. We got Hollywood.
The thing is, we weren't really trying to be, but it is something to be able to show up and have people know you, and being able to go on stage and see them. And like, I think the first time we met them and we went to a live show, I was very, very nervous, and I was just kind of like, "We got to get going. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry to be interrupting you." And like this time, it was just they were like they're family, and we're like on stage having a moment with them.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, we're chit chatting. I'm showing them pictures of my baby. Like, it really feels like a lot of love from the cast, and it feels very genuine.
And that is something that I think is beautiful. I also will say there is something about like whenever we speak to them on screen, I'm just like, like you're over there, I'm over here. It is what it is. But like in person, I think I'm a little bit more natural.
That's interesting because I feel the opposite. I think there's a fangirl in me that comes out a little bit every single time we hang out with them in person. But over Zoom, it's just there's a distance that allows me to tune out the celebrity of it all and just have a conversation with them. So they get through the show and then they're like, "Hey guys, hang out for a while." And at this point, it becomes obvious that they're about to make an announcement. And the announcement that they make is that, one, they're going to be covering Girl Meets World. And two, they have a exclusive deal with a major streamer. Top four streamer. To do a weekly video type of podcast. And they surprised us by being like, and we're going to record the pilot for that right now. So we were there for the pilot. I don't know where this is going to end up. Again, they said it was a major streamer. It was a pilot. You don't know if they're going to refilm it or re-record it. I don't know how much of it is going to make it to the public.
Some context. They did inform us. We had a contract. Then there was some conversation, and like, basically the announcement that they wanted to make, they just couldn't make at that time.
And apparently they had a bunch of jokes and gags lined up for that specific streaming partner that they couldn't use because of that contract. Yes.
Correct. And so for example, they had someone come in who was Mr. Hollywood. Do you remember that moment? Yeah. And we were just kind of like, what is going on? But then also to me afterwards, I was like, oh, this was probably supposed to be Mr. Streamer, like it was supposed to be something very specific, and then they had to broaden it, like last minute as well. So again, if you were there and you were entertained by it, or if you were there and you weren't entertained by it, I would say that we noticed that there was a little bit of like trying to make it up on the fly that was kind of happening because Yeah.
And I'm interested, like I said, I want to see them on my screen. I want to see them doing video stuff. And so I'm interested to see how streamers are going to start incorporating podcasts. I'm assuming it's just going to be more cheap original content that they can just throw on their service. But I hope that we see more of them in the world interacting with each other in real life, because I found that to be really, really interesting. Not that them chit-chatting isn't, but it's like I want to see them doing stuff in the world. Like I want a reality show on them versus a just talk show, maybe.
Pod meets world.
Yes, meet the world.
Meet the world. Yeah.
There's this show on Discovery Channel. I don't know how many people are watching it, where it's just Will Smith kind of going around the world, just doing random shit. Like I want to see that. I want to see them road tripping in Sean's RV. I want to see them going around the country, stopping at pit stops, signing girl bands, and like getting into shenanigans.
Pod meets road.
Yeah.
Either way, there's lots of opportunity there. If any of our listeners have any idea of like what they would want to see with this, or what they think like this new thing could be, please hit us up.
And the other announcement being the Girl Meets World announcement. It was just kind of announced that they will be doing that. And so I guess I'm going to have to fucking watch the show. I've been hesitant to watch it. I think that them recording it is, it makes it relevant for me again. And so if ever there were a time for us to watch it, I think it would be now. And truly, like, I like being a part of the Boy Meets World community. Like you said, like when we go to these live shows, we're like hanging out with people who used to write on the show, and we're hanging out with people we've interviewed, and it's a very warm family to be a part of. And so I think that I have issues with Girl Meets World, but maybe that's something that other people feel as well. Maybe that's something that provokes a conversation. I don't know.
Okay, so you guys heard it here. I just want to make it very clear. I did not strong arm this man into anything. He has been resistant forever, but very much like Danielle, right? Tony has come around. And so for all of you who have been asking about our next chapter and whether or not that was ever actually coming to pass, well, good things come to those who wait.
Yeah.
As they have announced, we also are announcing that we will be doing Girl Meets World. So be prepared for some new content. And unlike our Pod Meets World reacts, those will be going on our main feed. So as long as you are subscribed or you are looking at our YouTube, you will be able to see those episodes. Unlike previously where they would have been behind a paywall, now these episodes will be free on our regular streamings. So there you guys go. You got it. I can hear some people yelling and screaming with joy right now. And I hear some people being like, God damn, these two will ride anything off the wheels. So yeah. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, you know what? I enjoy talking bullshit. Me and you have been talking bullshit for a very long time. It's a fun little distraction from the rise and grind of work. It's just to talk about a sitcom for a little bit. And like I said, I have such a relationship with these characters and with the people who have made the show that it feels like if I'm really going to call myself a Boy Meets World fan, I need to have at least watched this through once. And maybe that's all it will be, is once. But I feel like I owe it to myself.
I also think it's important to note, unlike Boy Meets World, this is only 3 seasons. We have 72 episodes.
Yes, we can power through this pretty quickly. I'm not trying to stay on their schedule. Like, however it works for us to do this, we're going to figure it out.
Absolutely. So there's that. And then also, I will say, it's wild to think, but this show came out in 2014. So we're already 10 years out from the beginning of it. So it'll be another really important thing to kind of like look and see what it's like to examine this show now that we know the characters, examine the show now that we have some understanding of like the production background.
Interesting,
and also a different generation.
Show came out at the tail end of the Obama years. So I wonder how much of that like second term Obama optimism plays into the show, and how much that directly contradicts the looming doom of the last like 10 years of the Trump presidency and all of that shit. I don't know. I'm going in blind.
You know what? And I think that's another really important thing. We've talked about it before. And I think that I don't want to lose sight of the fact that you have your own little Maya, that
Yes.
we will be able to look at this through a different eyes up because when we started Boy Meets World and even Pod Meets World, we took the perspective of two Black middle-aged men who were watching the show about a young boy. But now you're a father, which is a completely different
To
station
a
in life.
girl who is meeting the world currently. So maybe I have a thing or two to learn from this show. Probably not, but maybe I do.
Running a small business means I wear lots of hats. When I put on my hiring hat, I can count on LinkedIn Hiring Pro to make it easy. LinkedIn Hiring Pro helps manage my hiring workflow, puts my job post in front of a unique network of professionals, and matches me with the best candidates for my business. I can also share my job with my network. No other job site lets me do that. No wonder most small businesses say they'd use LinkedIn Hiring Pro again. Hire right the first time. Post your job for free on LinkedIn today at linkedin.com/quality.
This episode is brought to you by Perfect Bistro Cat Food. Cats, this ad is for you. Has your human ever called you picky, persnickety, choosy? If so, Perfect Bistro Cat Food is for you. With ingredients like wild-caught tuna and pasture-raised lamb, tantalizing textures, and delectable flavors that meet even the most discerning cat standards. You're not picky, you're just perfectionists. Perfect Bistro, mealtime perfection for every cat. Have your human visit perfectbistro.com.
Maybe I do. So anyway, for those of you who have stayed with us this long, let us know how you feel about us doing Girl Meets World. Whether or not you love it or hate it, we'll be right there. And we will keep this journey going. So even though we said all good things come to an end, that just means that sometimes they begin again. And we will be right back with you.
Every new beginning is another new beginning's end, guys.
What? I know that. Why is that? Why do I know that? What is that from? There you go. Yeah. Perfectly said. Anything else you want to say?
We're going to do this. We'll do an occasional provision. We're just going to keep, bullshit. And as long as you guys are willing to listen, we're willing to keep talking. So, yeah.
All right. So, you guys, again, kind of summarizing it. Thank you for joining us for season 7. Thank you for joining us as a recap of season 7. Thank you for listening to this episode of our season 7 recap, where we went to the live show to talk about season 7's finale. And thank you for joining us as we begin a new chapter in Girl Meets World.
I'm lost inside of this Russian nesting doll of podcasting that we're doing. I'm excited. We'll see what happens.
Hey, and this time you get to...
It's a rump, guys.
Exactly. And this time you get to be the newbie. You get to go in blind. So that'll be something to look forward to.
A new dynamic.
Okay. I guess there's nothing else to say, but later, bros.
Later, bros.
When this boy meets world.
I'm not giving up. I am selling the building.
The final season of FX's The Bear.
The restaurant is flooded.
Everything's either going to be okay...
No, stop!
Or not.
We are outgunned and we are outmanned, but we have each other.
FX's The Bear, the final season. All episodes now streaming on Disney+.